Welcome. We are live. I'm Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today is the 26th of March, 2024. This is the Anyone Can Farm Experience live chat Tuesday night edition. As I have said, I am Mark, your host, coming from Baker's Green Acres in Marion, Michigan. And boy, what a day. Milder temperatures, but it was raining today. And just in the last couple hours, the winds have come up to the point where anybody that's in this kind of business, sort of a pucker factor, because things happen when it's windy like this. Things happen. So let's see. Our show tonight is brought to you by the Anyone Can Farm Experience. Oh, wait a minute. The Anyone Can Farm Tribe Plus. And Tribe Plus is for the next level of people. So it's taken shape. You know, I've had a feeling of what that will be, and this show is sort of like the preliminary. You know, people that are interested in homesteading way of life, small farms, and just plain living. But those of you that are going to jump in with all four of your feet, and I see Copperheads with us, and they're fine examples of jumpers, inners, can share more information because there's things, and a lot of them are not things that you just want to explain to everybody, because they don't need to know, and it wouldn't be interesting to them. When you get in this and you're starting to really see the intricacies of this way of life, you can relate at a different level. And I think that's what Tribe Plus is. So, I make myself pretty vulnerable. I tell it like it is on Tribe Plus, and I go into more of the nuts and bolts and the little hidden secrets. It's just not stuff that you would share otherwise. And then we have a consulting call every other week on Wednesday night. It's a Zoom call, and it's turned out to be really productive. We can talk about specific things that you have going on your homestead, and I can give you my input. We have some pretty smart people show up, and a lot of times I'm sitting back and listening to what they have to say, and I learn a lot through it. We should have done it a long time ago, I think. We got Brian Jacob with us. We got the Copperheads. We got Inga, David Duncan. Let's see who isn't here. Keith Sutton's not here right off the bat. He'll be here. All right, so Jill put a thing out last week on the Anyone Can Farm Tribe page, and also on the Baker's Green Acres page. The Baker's Green Acres page was more where things started. It was a Facebook page. It still is a Facebook page, and it's got a big following. But I think a lot of the people that are on there are there's a good share of people that are just like to see it. They just like the entertainment value of seeing what goes on here, because there's a lot of pictures, and my wife does a little bit of blogging, and she takes pictures of what's going on and puts captions on them and stuff, and really has done a good job of growing that group of people. And there was talk at one time about doing away with it, but I'm glad we didn't, because I've gotten used to a lot of those people. A lot of them didn't come over to the Anyone Can Farm experience, so be it. But Tribe Plus, we're opening registration up again on April 1st. Okay, we cut it off for a little while because we weren't exactly sure of the direction that we're going. This is one of those things where I don't have a playbook. I just have to feel my way through it. And when you get on solid ground and you're there, okay, this works, let's keep doing this. And then we do other things. Okay, this makes sense. And the whole idea is to provide value to the people that are in this group so that they can be all they can be. Little army saying right there. I don't even know if they say that anymore. That maybe that's from a days gone by, like the Marines. It used to be, we're looking for a few good men, right? They don't say that anymore. Doesn't work. Or what was it for the Air Force? It was aim high. I think it still is. I don't really know. But anyway, that's beside the point. So today on the farm, I am building out the store. I had hoped to be able to get out and do some fencing today because I had an escape yesterday. Thank you, dear. Jill just brought me a cup of tea in one of these really fine logoed. I love this logo. Carrie Petrin made this. She's one of our tribe people. You guys, if you need logos made, she created the whole thing. She did. And I love it. I think it's so cool. And it's the sign that's out in front of our farm. It's the sign that's on the side of our vehicles. It's the sign that's going to be on our new egg cartons that are coming. She can make everything. She's made shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff. She's really good at it. And I recommend, if you need somebody to help you with your presence, your logo presence, that you contact Carrie. She's really good. She works out of a place out in Manistee. Real good work. Real good work. Very reasonable. Very quality. I mean, I'll stay with Carrie. She's real good. All right, Keith is with us. We need one of those mugs. Well, I can tell you where you can get them. We're going to have a bunch of them in the store. The store is really a cool idea because it's just going to be it reminds me, I don't want to get off track too much, but it reminds me of that outpost in the movie Josie Wales, where he went and I'd be looking for some horses, he says. And he winds up rescuing an Indian woman and shooting a couple guys while he's there and getting some tobacco to chew and, maybe some whiskey or something. And then he rode off with the Indian woman. But anyway, I see the outpost. There can be a lot of things in there. And as things change, it's a space that we can change it. We can adjust it to whatever comes. I could see a time when maybe money doesn't work as good as it used to. Kind of like now. Like it used to be, I could spend $1.50 and I could get a gallon of gas. And now it's like $4 to get a gallon of gas. So apparently money is not working as good as it used to. Either that or there's less gas, maybe. But I think it's just the money's not working. So the store, a gallon of whole milk, and this is whole milk. We don't separate the cream off of it. I've been doing a lot of research into raw milk. It's $10. Really hasn't changed that much in value, like to the human body, the humans that want it. In 1930, it was 40 cents, and now in 2024, it's $10. So the dollars aren't doing as well. So you may come here in 6 months or so, and there'll be some horses tied up out there, and maybe there'll be guns there that people have traded to me for beef or something. I don't know. I'm building it so that we can adjust as we go. And it's working out really good. When you're working on it, man, my mind is just going. And I had a really good day doing that. So I was working on that today. I had to milk this morning. Me and Frank milk Tuesdays. And of course, when I'm milking, man, my mind is going because you get all this milk and you say, if I can move this along, it will equal this much. If I can get that and maybe a couple more days worth, I can get a new door for the cabin because those doors are $480 now, So I'm lining things up. I line up my milk production with people, and then I take what I get from that and line it up on the next project that is also going to bring funds, which, will allow me to work on the next project and the next project. I'd like to have it so things are going along good and I can actually hire a guy to come in and I can get him going on projects and then kind of walk away, because I get distracted quite a bit here. I get distracted a lot. If people don't distract me, I distract myself. But let's see. I was working on the store today, and the two boys, my two youngest, Frank and Jim, they were going to give me some time today, or they wanted some work today. I pay them. And it's all an effort to train them that, let's say they want something, that they are trading their expertise and their time for dollars. And usually the things that they want, I approve of. Whenever they're buying candy and things like that, I don't approve of that. But hey, it's their money. They can pretty much do what they want. I won't let them buy, beer or Playboy magazines or anything like that. But I don't even know if they have Playboy magazines. That was in my day, where they had them at the dairy bar, Playboys. So yeah, they were working for me, and today I have two sows that have run their course, and it was their time, and I needed that done. I didn't really have time to do it myself because I really needed this. I need to get this store done for May 4th. Let's see, is that May 4th? Yeah, May 4th, which is going to be the plant exchange or the seedling exchange. We're calling it the seedling. Used to be the seed exchange. Now it's the seedling. I mean, you can still bring seeds, but this will open it up to seedlings as well. And I hope somebody brings these, bare root trees, right? Because I could really use some of those. I want to build an orchard out this summer. So that's what went on here today. And then I had to stop and feed the pigs in the afternoon. And by then the wind had come up and it started raining again. So it was just nasty being outside, just totally nasty. And so now I'm in and I get to talk to you guys. I got a cup of tea in a baker's mug, and we got all the time in the world. But I got some things to share. I want to get to the Tokyo Rose effect later, right? But right now I want to talk about, well, before I start, the show is brought to you by the Anyone Can Farm Tribe Plus. Registration's opening up on April 1st, so it's coming. So you're going to want to get on the waiting list. There's a big waiting list right now. The things that you get being in the tribe, first of all, you get to support this mission. You get to support this mission. I see this as a very important thing. And when I see young families that are jumping in, hey, I'm all in with you. I'm all in with you. I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not doing. That's leadership, right? We know that. All right, Sean Wise with us. JK is with us from Cali. Ooh. You support this mission, right? You support this mission. We've only scratched the surface of this. And daily, I'm reminded that there is a boogeyman out there that does not want us doing this. They do not want us doing this. They do not want us to be self-sufficient. They don't want to have us to have control of our families, of our food supply, of our destiny. They want to control our destiny. Who's they? Let's not even talk about them. Let's not, I was on the phone for an hour and a half today talking with a woman in Oregon who got the Department of Agriculture out there, Oregon ODA, sending her letters about things, and not good. It's not good. Of course, they really don't have any legal grounds to stand on, but helping her navigate that or talking about it with her, it takes time. But it further solidifies in my mind that there is an adversary. The department. I'll say this. I said this before. I'll say it again. Department of Agriculture should be promoting what we do, right? Instead, they use food safety and environmental safety as reasons why you can't do it. Not trying to talk you through it to do it safely, just saying you can't do it. Leave it to us. Leave it to the professionals to do it. And that's why we have the name here is the Anyone Can Farm. Kind of dispel their notion that you need to be a professional, and what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? Oh, professional. I'm not a licensed midwife, but I've birthed. Well, I haven't birthed them, but I've been the catcher. I've been there, and the first thing that they touch, other than my wife, is me. I did that. I don't have a license to do that. Worked out pretty good. Those kids are grown up and moved out of the house. They worked out pretty good. So all of these things that we do on the homestead, there's no limit to it. You don't need to be a certified welder or a certified carpenter or certified this or that. If you need a certification, I'll give you a certification, and you can press on and keep doing what you're doing. Right. So that's a little bit of that push there. There is a boogeyman out there that doesn't want you doing this. And you have to ask the question, why? Why do you guys care what I'm doing? If I'm doing, let's say, if I want to have a sewing circle, does anybody intervene and say, oh, you need to check with us? You need to have a license from us or a certification from us? No, because there's nothing in it. If they withhold it, somebody else doesn't benefit. They are in the business of withholding this so that somebody else can benefit from it. And you can do the figuring on that yourself. It doesn't really matter. You're not going to get them to say, yeah, you're right. I guess we're going to change the direction of the department. We're going to start supporting small farmers with loans and know-how and booklets, and we'll even send up some of our personnel over to muck some stalls out for you. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They have their direction. They always have, and that's the way it's going to be. They benefit their masters, and we are not their masters. Actually, you just want them totally and operate in the private instead of the public, and really grab a hold of your Fifth Amendment and kind of ignore them. But that's hard for people to do because they send letters, and they have a certain language. I have this letter. It's a little too early for me to share it, but I'm going to with the Tribe Plus people, because I want you to see some of the language that they use, whether it's Oregon or Michigan or New Hampshire. They all use the same language, and it's language that's meant to what? Deceive you and fool you and scare you, right? Why do they have to use those things? If it's something that we're doing that is against the law, like armed robbery, they don't have to talk you into not committing armed robbery, right? You do it, you go to jail. That's it. There's a law in place. So this is coercive tactics that, in my opinion, and maybe some of you don't have this perspective, but in my opinion, like I dealt with a call last week from a guy, Amish guy, and he's being leaned on by Department of Agriculture here in Michigan, and they questioned him. They started questioning him, and he didn't know enough to not talk to them. And so he started to talk to them. He was doing herd shares. Herd shares, are they legal or illegal? They're absolutely legal because the Fifth Amendment says that our life, our liberty, and our process is protected under the due process of law. So if you Google laws pertaining to herd shares, there are no laws. There are policies. Policies are not law. And if you have a policy, how are you going to enforce that? Well, we'll send you a mean letter. Well, I might just send it back to you, with a little note on there, or maybe some substance, that comes out the back end of a pig. I may do that. But I have no reason to regard that as anything that I need to pay any attention to. Anyway, our process is very important, and somebody would like to take it from us. There's no doubt about it. It's I'm hearing more things day in and day out. But there is a fix on these things. And it's sort of like anything that we do, I want to stay away from, immediately my mind went to military operations where somebody doesn't want you to take this product from here to there, so they shoot at you along the way. Well, what's the fix on that? Try to get them not to? No, the fix is harden up your vehicles and be ready to shoot back. That's, if you got to get it there, then do it, and have things in place that we know where you are and we're going to prevent you from doing that. Right. So it's sort of the same thing. You get into this business and you're doing something, like say milking cows and selling the milk for $10 a gallon, and all of a sudden somebody wants to intervene in that, some official, in the name of safety, right? Because they're concerned with your safety. So there is a way through it, and we're going to dissect some of these letters in Tribe Plus when the time is right. But as you all mature in your homesteading careers, you're going to see some stuff is more profitable than other stuff, depending on where you are in this. Like if you have certain resources available to you, you want to exploit those resources. If you're near a certain place that people want a certain product, you're going to want to exploit that. I say all the time, you may want to raise rainbow ponies and live happily ever after, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. That's your wants ahead of accomplishing the mission. And the mission is you want to be a homestead, and you want to be a profitable homestead so you can work from home and attain a level of happiness, a level of creativity. You want to unleash your mind, then there is a way to get there. There is a way to get there. And I think that's more of what we are going to talk about in Tribe Plus on a regular basis. On this show, this is almost like the beginning of the funnel into that. Like a lot of people that don't have chick anything, they're not going to sign up in Tribe Plus. Like they're like, there's so much information out there. There's more information than I could possibly digest. I mean, I try to look at some of the homestead stuff. Yeah, all right. But, I've had chickens for 25 years. It's not something, not that I can't learn anything, but it doesn't really excite. I'm looking for new processes and more intricate ways of integrating processes for greater outcome. I'm looking for networking with other people. That's huge. Human resources are huge. Okay. So the subject was mistakes that I've made on the farm. All right. It was something like that. Jill asked me what I want to talk about, and I say, I don't know. What do you got on the docket? And she says, well, somebody wanted to know some of the mistakes that you've made. And well, are you really looking for a list of my screw ups or an attitude that is like a winning attitude that gets you to the end? Because you're going to make mistakes, absolutely, but it's how you react to your own mistake. How do you react to that, your own mistake? I've had some beauties, and I'm prepared to give you examples. I don't mind one bit. But before I do that, I've been drinking a lot of water because I found out that I need to drink a lot of water. Somebody that's my size, my weight, 249 pounds, I should be drinking a gallon a day. So I've been doing that. And I just drank a whole bunch right before I sat down. And in order for me to relax, I'm going to have to take a bathroom break. It'll be real quick. I'm sorry I have to do this. Kind of unprofessional, but I got to do it. And then I'm going to start in on some of the mistakes I've made and the result of those mistakes. So you don't look at them as though, well, I made this mistake. That was a brick wall that I hit. You know, the wheels flew off, the engine stopped, and now I'm sitting here bleeding from the nose, and I've been sitting here for 2 years bleeding from the nose. No, that's not what I'm going to talk about. But I got to take a break. Excuse me. All right. Sorry about that. Needed to get done. All right. I've made some beauties. I really have made some beauties. And every time that I do, it cements in my mind that I don't want to do that again. That didn't work out good. So I'm not going to do that again. And let me tell you about one that's famous around here. We do what's called the Anyone Can Farm Homestead Hog Harvest. And let's see, this year is going to be our 14th year of doing it. And it's a tremendous thing. It's one of the funnest things that I do all year long. We allow up to, depends on how, probably 16 is the max people come on a Friday after lunch, and we have a little in brief, and then we shoot our first pig, and we bring it over, weigh it, and then do a scald on it. And the students are very hands-on this, and we do the scrape, scald and scrape, evisceration. I do a little bit of it and kind of instruct, and then I'll hand the knife to somebody else. We go through every step of this. By the end of the day on Friday, we've got 2 pigs done, split in half, laid out on the tables, ready to go to work on them the next day. We can go through and we can show all the different things. We can show, all the parts of the pig, the organs. Friday night, Jill is preparing organs, showing people how to do that. And then she cooks some of them. And that's what we have for our meal on Friday night with bread and a vegetable and things like that. It's really nice. And then the next day we start at 9 o'clock, and we're breaking that pig down into primal cuts. We walk through the process slowly, and the students are in there. They've got the knives, they've got the aprons on, and the gloves and all that stuff. We have 4 halves, so up to 4 people per half. 3, Jill thinks, is better. I don't know. It depends on the people. We've got a nice place to do it now. There was a time when we were doing it on a hay wagon outside, and it's it's November, so it can be cold. And then we go on to making sausages and slicing bacons and curing the bacons first, making pork chops, preparing the hams for the brine. Let's see, we bone the shoulders out, we separate the hocks, we separate the head, the jowls, everything that you can do. We take the heads and we clean them up real good. We boil them down. We do that whole thing. So that's hog harvest. And then Sunday is the piece de resistance. That's when we're grinding, seasoning, stuffing sausages, making sausage patties. We do a lot of sampling along the way. It's very important to do that. You make up a sausage mix and you want to fry some and try it, see what people think. And then, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. And then at the end, we've got all this product that we've made by the end of Sunday. And then we make it available to the students at a very reasonable rate, because I can't really sell that stuff, so we want to see it all go away, right? We want to see it all go away. And the price of those 2 pigs is factored into the seat price. So the farm does well. The people do well because they walk away with a durable skill. Like, once you've done it, a lot of our customers, a lot of our patrons, friends, I guess they would be, because we're friends with all of them. They come back years later, and it's never underestimate the value of a bloody handshake, is what a friend of mine said one time. So, and it's a lot of truth to that, because you're taking a life. People are really apprehensive at first, even though they might not say they are. And you can see the relief happen when the animal is humanely killed, slaughtered, and then we use all of it. There's a little bit we don't, like the hair and stuff. We don't do much with that, and some of the intestines we don't do anything with because we don't know how yet. I mean, and the class is full enough that is. But anyway, I'm going to get to my mistake. This is a world famous mistake. For a while, I was using, as my primary firearm to do this, I was using an M1 carbine. I think I even have an M1 carbine round in my pocket. I did. But anyway, I do. I found this one today. I don't know if you can show this. I'll show it real quick. Okay. So it's 30 caliber. It's a World War II surplus rifle that I have, and is box fed magazine. Takes 15 rounds, and it's pretty powerful. I mean, it's not like an .6 or a 308 or anything. It's pretty small. It's actually a little bit longer pistol cartridge. If there were pistols in 30 caliber, most of them are a little bit bigger than that. Caliber being the diameter of the bullet. But it was working good on pigs, because I hadn't discovered my new go-to gun yet. For those of us that do this, it's a sticking point, because you don't want to have to shoot a pig twice. And even if they're big, and most of the ones we do are 350 to 400 for hog harvest. We do big ones just because we can. Anyway, this particular class, there were two veterans in the class, one from Indiana and one from South Carolina. They didn't know each other. I didn't know them. I didn't know what they were into when they were in the military. I didn't know, and it wasn't of interest to me when they signed up. I knew they were both Army. They were from the Army, and I was Air Force. People on here, Copperhead people, are Marines. Anyway, they showed up. We got to talk a bit, and they'd say, "So, what were you doing when you were in the Army?" Well, I was actually I was in Special Forces. Oh, wow, really? Yeah, I was a Green Beret. Whoa, you don't meet many Green Berets. I've met 3 in my lifetime, and I met them here. I never met them when I was in the service. They're few and far between, and our paths don't really cross. As being me being in the Air Force, we really don't see those guys much. And then the other guy was a Special Forces, and he was a public affairs guy. That's what they call it. I didn't know that was a career field, but these guys are commandos. They are real commandos. I mean, they're the guys that jump out of planes in the middle of the night and go to targets and do what they have to do. And they're very highly trained people. And as somebody that's in the Air Force, we are more like an airline. And so we have jobs during the day. You know, we're not training all the time. We are just getting good at one thing, and then we do what we do to keep the airplanes going. So we're not exactly the shoot 'em up kind guys. We train on weapons once when you come in, and then if you're on mobility or you're on some sort of special team, once a year. And I think we fire 40 rounds through an old M16. Now, I was doing other things, and so I got into a few other things that maybe most people don't do. I was a big volunteerer, so I had to learn a bunch of security things and things like that. So I wound up doing other things, and I was quite familiar with how other services view the Air Force, because we are not ground pounders, right? And they are, and so they think that we're, weak or whatever. So whatever, I don't really care if that's what they think. But I was a little bit concerned because I was going to have to shoot this pig, and I've got 2 Special Forces guys, one a Green Beret and the other one a public affairs guy, standing right there. I was a little concerned that I was going to make a good shot. I don't want to make a bad shot in front of these guys. And it can be a little difficult because you've got 15 people there, 16 people there. The pigs get really jumpy because they don't know why all these people are there. And I pull up with the tractor, and that usually draws them. And then I get off, and I got to take the shot. And their heads are going all over the place, looking, is somebody going to feed me or what? So they're all over the place. And I have my trusty M1. I've shot, 100 pigs with it before this. And the public affairs guy actually, I missed the part of the story. He was late. And so amongst us military people, being late is bad. So I already had this feeling about him, like, you're late. And then he shows up. I know he's Army, but I didn't know he was a Special Forces guy. So I was just the Green Beret guy. I was kind of watching what I was doing very closely. And so I know I've got my M1. I probably got 15 rounds in the magazine. Everything should go fine. And the first pig went fine, right? And I was feeling pretty good, Yeah, watch me. I can handle a weapon. And then the second pig came. The other fella had showed up. And I didn't say anything like, what's your problem? Why are you waiting? I didn't say it. But it went through my mind. I was in 20 years, and being on time is is probably more important than most things. It's very, very important to be on time. I didn't say anything, but I had this feeling about the guy, you know? And so we go out there. I talked to him enough to shake his hand. Hey, welcome, and all this stuff. We go out there. I got a bad shot. I got a really bad shot. The pig pulled its head, and I hit it right above the eye, and it knocked it down, but it got back up, and it started doing the twirly. It was going around in circles, squealing. So I had to take another shot, which I hated to do. When I pulled the trigger, it went click. I dropped the magazine, and there was no ammo in it. So here I am running the class, and I overlooked having enough ammunition in my firearm. And amongst those guys, that is probably worse than being late, you know? And who did it? The Air Force guy. I just know how they were thinking. And I stood there for a minute like, what am I going to do? Jump in there and whack it with the gun? And I happened to look at this guy that showed up late. And I don't know why, but I said, has anybody got a gun on him? And this guy reaches behind him and pulls out a 45. It was like an M&P 45 or something. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't a Glock, and it wasn't a Colt. And he turns it around and he hands it to me. And he says, you do know how to handle that, don't you? And I just, yes. And I had to charge it. Didn't have one in it. And bang, I shot that pig right between the eyes. And then I cleared it, and I handed it back to him. And all my feelings of you're late, you're on my list, went away like really quickly. I felt really, inadequate in front of those guys. But you know what? That was a mistake. That was a mistake. And I owned up to those guys. Later on that night, we were at the campfire, and we're yucking it up a little bit. And it was nice to have some other people there that were military. And I said, I'm really sorry that happened. And I know how bad that looks in your eyes. That will never happen again. And they said, well, all right. Yeah, you owned it. I didn't make excuses like, well, somebody didn't put any ammo in that gun. And I thought I had more ammo in that gun than I did. I should have known how much ammo I had in that gun. If that magazine holds 15, there should be 15 in it, right? Because you just do. Don't put one round in it because, well, I'll only need one round. So that was a mistake that curbed my career. It definitely did. It didn't curb it. It adjusted my career. It's like, wow, you've been this a long time. This is probably year 10. And look at the mistake that you just made in front of all these people. But I was able to say to them, hey, it happens. That shouldn't have happened. I mean, it shouldn't have gone, the gun shouldn't have gone click. It should have had another round in there to make a very clean second shot, but it didn't. So that was a truly humbling experience in front of this group of students where I'm supposed to be the guy that knows how to do this, but I didn't even know enough to have, I actually only had 2 rounds in that gun. And that is unsat right there. That is unsat. I should have had another magazine for it, or I should have checked the magazine before. Yeah, that's what I should have done. I should have checked and made sure I had at least 10. It's not like I'm going to take 10 shots, but if I needed 2 shots on the first one and 2 on the second one, I would have been covered. Anyway, the attitude that you want to have towards mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are mistakes. is own it and don't do it again. That's a principle of anything that you do, I think. Own it. Who was responsible for that? Me. Not my kids, not my wife, nobody, me. And I owned it. I owned it in front of everybody. That was my mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I don't want you to do that. That was a dumb thing to do. With all the preparation that I had to do, that was one more thing of preparation that should have been covered. Has it happened since? Not to me, but I got another story to tell you. Today, my kids were going to help. I told you they were going to help today. It was like a school schedule type thing. And I needed these two sows knocked off. They were at the end of their, I've replaced them since with Sean Wise's pigs, actually. I got a bunch of reds out there. And these girls needed to go. They were 5 years old and, you know, they've served us well, but it was time for them to go. And my sons were going to do this. And they have worked with me enough times, they're 12 and 14, that they have pretty much done all of the functions, just never been in charge of making sure that all the functions are aggregated so that they can do them, right? And I said, well, I'm gonna back out of this one. You guys are gonna do this. Are you gonna work as a team? Yeah, we're gonna work as a team. Okay. I just back out. And then I saw him starting out there with the tractor and my new favorite gun for doing this. And I looked at the time and it was like 15 minutes before lunch. And I thought about saying, hey, and then I said, nope, not going to do it. That's a component here, you know, because once that gun goes off, you can't say, oh, it will just lay there until we get done with lunch. Nope. You got to follow it through till that pig is at least gutted out and hanging there. And then after lunch, you can come out and you can split it and get it in and go on to the next one. But I let them. So me and Jill ate alone and they came in 45 minutes later and had their lunch. And it was probably cold. Probably, I don't know. Jill probably heated it up for them. But I let them do that. And so in their minds, it's like, oh, we don't have dad here to tell us, wait 15 minutes until you eat, you know, so you can get a good hot meal. It was cold today and stuff. I let them do that. And then, but that first pig, they put it in a corral. We have a corral system out here. And she was contained. One shot, perfect. She went down. They chained her up, picked her out of there, got her to the shop. Nothing went wrong. Flawless. I thought, good, man, because things can go wrong, you know. Like the tractor can run out of fuel. I didn't tell him, did you check that to make sure it's got fuel? I didn't do it. Because I thought if that runs out of fuel, then they're going to have to prime it up and put fuel in it. And they may have a pig hanging from the bucket. And, well, you'll never do that again, probably. But I didn't say anything, and it didn't run out of fuel. Then on the second one, by now I've eaten lunch. I'm out there. I'm in the middle of a phone call, actually. I've been on the phone for a half an hour with this gal from Oregon. And I see them charge back out there. And so I figure, well, they've got it under control. They did one flawlessly. And from where I am, I hear bang. And I don't hear anything else. I don't hear the tractor starting up. Long time goes by. And then one of them, the younger one, Frank, comes charging in. And he's like, are there any bullets in here? Right. So I automatically know what has happened, right? And the other one, they got her in the corral, but they didn't put the chain around to hold the corral door shut, right? They just we put a spike, a railroad spike at the bottom, and you lift it up and it sits on there, but you have to chain it to keep anybody from bumping into it and open it up. And I guess Jim shot and didn't get a good hit, and then she went off and went through the gate and ran right back to her house where she figured she could get some kind of shelter. And I look out and I see her running back, and then I see them racing around. I hear the tractor start up. I see Jim trying to load the magazine, and I thought, nope, I'm going to stay out of it. I'm going to stay out of it, even though I was a little concerned because they're getting worked up, and that's when a problem can happen with a firearm. But no, I'm just going to let it. I'm going to let them sort it out. And then I heard 2 more shots, and luckily she came out, and he was able to shoot her outside of her house. Otherwise, they would have had to come get me to drag her out of there to hook her up to the tractor. Long story short, in that time, it started a torrential rain, so both of them got soaked. They got her back over to the butchering area. She's covered in mud. Again, I'm going to stand back. Has that happened when it was the 3 of us doing it? Do they know what to do? They know they have to rinse her off first. They'll find out if they don't rinse her off, because they'll get a crummy scald. And, when we do our after brief, I'll say, how'd that scald go? Oh, not so good. Oh, she was pretty muddy, I seen. So maybe next time you ought to. But they rinsed her off. They got a good scald and scrape. They actually did an outstanding job. And about the only thing that I did to help them is I was running around on the front end loader. So I went over there and I took the guts from them and I put them where I wanted them to go. So we'll talk tomorrow morning and I'll say, so how'd that go? And I'll hear that, well, yeah, we didn't check the gun to make sure there was enough ammo in it. And I'll say, well, okay. Did anything else happen? Well, we didn't put the chain on the gate. Oh, okay. Well, so now these guys have made mistakes. Nobody got hurt. Pig might have suffered a little bit more than she should have. I'll give them that. Are they going to want that to happen again? I don't think they will. I didn't want that to happen. I don't think she really suffered. When you get a bad hit on them, well, I don't know. Maybe she did. I don't know. So that was the bad part of it, really bad. And it was 15, 20, a minute after that when the second shot hit her and she was down, right? Dead. So it did work out. But the mistakes that they made, my attitude towards those mistakes are, this is a significant learning opportunity, an SLO, significant learning opportunity. So those stories, hopefully, I'm getting my point across that as you go into this career field, mistakes, you're going to have them all the time, all the time. You got to learn from them, though. And it's not always, well, don't do that again. It's not always that. It's, well, how do I adjust this? How do I adjust it? So on a day-to-day basis here, I think there's the possibility that people can get the wrong idea that, well, when you come here, I don't think we're in the middle of a process. Usually it's for a visit or tribe day or a class or something like that. You don't see us adjusting our course, right? We start out with an idea of, well, I think this is what we want to do. Usually it's me, and then we move in that direction, and then we see, oh, well, this is not going to work today because it's so muddy out. It's just not going to work. Something like that, maybe. Or we're going to do more harm here than good. So let's not do this. This is not going to work. Or we're not prepared to do this. We don't know what we're doing here, or something like that. So, like, anytime you're going to a destination, you think, even if you're just going to the store or go moon, let's say, you're going to adjust your route all the time. You're going to adjust. You know, you get to the end of the road, you can't keep going straight because the road doesn't go straight. It goes right into the swamp. You keep going. Now you've got to pull your car out of the swamp. So that wasn't a good adjustment. What do you learn from that? Well, slow down before you get to the end of the road. And I know because I've gone off the end of the road here twice, right? In the wintertime. Twice. Not once, twice. And both times I was in a rush to get someplace and I had to call her and say, I'm not going to make it because I went off the road. Twice. My daughter's been off once. My son's been off. Two of my sons have been off. Yeah, we got a T at the end of the road. And in the wintertime, you forget because you're used to driving on gravel. And you hit the brakes, and it's like you speed up. You speed up. And there's a tree right there, and all you can do is just adjust a little bit. You know, the front wheels aren't even grabbing, and miss the tree. No one's hit the tree. So mistakes are going to happen, but don't look at them as a failure. Look at them as a learning opportunity. And get used to it, and whatever you got to do to make that work. I used to work with a kid that would cock his hat to one side, and he'd say, well, that's the way it goes. And I mean, it was just a good thing. And, well, I ain't gonna do that again. Yeah, don't do that again. Or I'm gonna do that differently next time. I'm gonna slow down before I get to the end of the road. What are some of the other things we did? Oh, I hate to think of some of them. Let's see. I'm not willing to share them all because some of them are so bad. The ones that pain me the most, I think, is when I get frustrated with things that I'm trying to do. Like, I have a mission. I want this done. And I'm short with my wife. That's the one that bothers me the most. But I have found that if I go back to her very quickly, or as quickly as I can, once I get it sorted out, why was I being that way? Was I in the right? Was she in the wrong? If I get back to her and say, I'm sorry I did that. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I just didn't handle the criticism very well. I've had to do that. I have to do that a lot. That helps a lot because we are a team, right? And if you are building a homestead with a teammate, like a husband or a wife, that is your most important asset right there. Because win, lose, or draw, that's who you are paired up with. So I regret that. I regret that a lot. And I have adjusted that many times. Many times I've had to make that adjustment, and with my kids too. Like, there was a time when I would go out there, you didn't check to see how much ammo you had in that gun, and like, that's just going to make things worse. They got it done. Tomorrow I'll say, so how did it go? What are you going to do different next time? Well, and I believe they will adjust, and I won't have any misgivings at all. I mean, no apprehension at all, like I did this morning. Hands off in it. I had some apprehension, but no, I trust them with a lot of things, and this is just another thing. I didn't have a bad feeling about it. I had a good feeling about it. And, there's other places other things they do where there could be problems, big problems, but they've, we haven't had any major, well, we've had some pretty good injuries, but we've had a few hospital visits. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Five, like about five, I think, stitches and things like that. But, it could be worse. We haven't had any really bad things, and we could, because we're dealing with dangerous things a lot. Um, earlier this fall, I was carrying a water trough with the front end loader. I had set it in there, and I didn't chain it in. I just picked it up so it was at an attitude where it would sit in there, right? And it's pretty heavy. It's one of them Rubbermaid. I think it's a 100-galloner, and I was bringing it up from where the cows are down there, because for a little while they didn't have access to the pond, and so I was bringing it up from there because they were knocking it all over the place. And I started to go through the gate. So I opened the gate and I'm starting through it. And here they come. They want to go through the gate too at the same time. So I start yelling at them. And while I was doing that, I was picking the loader up. And I don't know why I was doing it, but I wasn't looking at what I was doing. I was looking at them and yelling at them. All of a sudden, boom, I got hit hard. And you may remember it had a big skid mark here, and I had a pair of sunglasses on. It got my nose too, and it knocked me senseless. Really, for a minute, I thought, okay, I'm done. It must have broke my neck or something. That hit me hard. I didn't even know what hit me. And then I kind of came to, and the cows were all out, and I backed the loader in, and they followed me back in. And then I pushed them away, and I got through, and I came to the house with that thing on, and there was somebody in the shop, a milk customer, and my wife, I got blood running down my face. She's like, "What happened to you?" So every time I get on that loader now, I'm not kidding, I think you could have a bale of hay on there that weighs 750 pounds, that you're not watching what you're doing, and you go up too high and it could fall back on you. It could. I know a guy that happened to. And so I think of that every time I get on there. And yeah, so you learn to adjust what you're doing, because you can hurt yourself, or you can cause yourself a lot more work, right? A lot more work than you need. Another great story. We had a problem with the well. And when the well was put in, the guy that put it in, he said, "Oh, no, this is the way they do wells." And so the expansion tank, he just buried it. So if anything ever went wrong with it, you would have to dig it up. Well, something went wrong with it. It had a PVC connecting fitting, and evidently that broke. Probably the frost moved things around and broke it. So me and my son Keith dug it up, and it took all day to dig that thing up by hand, because it was down. You couldn't see it. You had to, and we dug it up, and we went and got a new one. We replaced the fittings. We put the new one on, and I was going to just put it in the way they did it. I was just going to cover it up. I was just going to fill it in. And the hole was open with all this, the pump, and the pump's down in the well, but the well casing's there, and then the expansion tank, and then the pressure switch is there. And that was in an enclosure, but it was going to be better too. And I thought, this is dumb. I'm not going to do this again. Let's leave this open and make sure it doesn't leak. And then we'll make a decision on how we're going to do it. Because I started thinking about getting a culvert to drop down around it or something. I was going to do something. And that night of all nights, the cows got out. I don't remember where they got out exactly. We were sitting at the campfire and we hear like a stampede, and it was where they weren't supposed to be. So they're out at night and they just kind of run away from things, you know. They want to be where it's safe, but they don't know. And so I go out there just in time to see two of them run past this open hole with all that equipment in it. Down they went, right in. And they're scrambling around to get out of that hole. Broke everything. Broke the expansion tank, broke all the fittings. Everything was shot. Everything was shot. They blew it completely out. We got them all the way up to the barn, locked them in. Okay. Is that going to happen again? No, that's not going to happen again. So when I rebuilt that, some of you may have remembered, that was probably about 4 years ago. I built a foundation to go down along the side of it so that I can actually go down a ladder and I'm in it. And I can service it from down in there. I can look at it and see what's going on. So if something happens, I don't have to dig the whole thing up. I can just go down in it. Am I going to let them walk on top of that? No. I am going to put a section of fence around it, but I haven't got around to that yet. But I don't let them on that field anymore because of that. That was a really bad time that we had going around here. All right, so I can go on and on about mistakes, but I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about, because the mistakes they keep coming. All right, let's see who's here. Now they say be what you want to be. Is that what they say? Keith S. Little Mark and Jill and Tribe. Little? Okay, that must be a misprint. Copperhead. Bring some down when you do the conference. Oh, yeah, I will. Yeah, that's another thing I need to brief is the Michigan Small Farms Conference is going to be, well, it's not the Small Farms. It's called the Mitten Homestead Conference. It's 17th and 18th May. We're going. I think it's going to be fun. I hope it's going to be fun. But I get to present 2 days. A guy dropped out on the second day. And so if you present, you get to go for free. No, they actually pay you too if you want to get paid. I told him I didn't want to get paid. So I'm just going to turn it back into it because I'd like to see this go year to year. I'm really into farm conferences, but I'm not into one, halfway across the country for it. And when they get too big, I don't really want to do that either. I think these ones have utility because we're all here in Michigan, and so we can share and network and stuff like that. So there's utility to it. I don't see it as a who's who type thing. Ooh, look at who I'm presenting alongside. I don't really care about that. All right, Keith says, or Just Me says, greetings. All right, welcome, Just Me. Keith says, hello, Mark and Jill and Tribe. Jill, I have a new phone, and Jill, your daughter has it. Okay, Keith says. Sean Wise is with us. How you doing, Sean? JK from Cali, California. Jill saying good evening. Got it. Keith at keith.s. Okay. Sounds like school was productive today. It certainly was. If you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything. True. Freesteading fun. Freesteading. A mistake is valuable if you do 4 things with it. Recognize it, admit it, learn from it, and then forget it. I don't know about forgetting it. Okay. That's that. And we're an hour and 10 minutes in. And I want to go over something that I've been seeing a lot of. And I think it is preventing people from getting done what they need to do. All right. And I'm seeing this all over the place. And I have for a long time. And whoa, I calm people down as much as I can because I don't always get the chance to. But I like to look at YouTube for entertainment purposes, and also while I'm working, I like to listen to podcasts and stuff. And every now and then I will see something come up. Let's see if I can see one now. About every day I see one of these. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here's one of them. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. He's got a pretty good size group of people. Hey guys, welcome back. So this is a fascinating story. All right. 176,000 subs. So people want to hear his message. But what we see is a guy, and he's usually in a backdrop that looks like it could be a farm or something. Not a golf course, but something like that. And he tells you about something terrible that's happening. The one that I listened to this morning, I didn't see the name on it. It just looked like something that I am kind of interested in knowing more about. And the subject was grid down. And we hear a lot about this. And I thought that a grid down scenario would be a devastating thing, but it's an easy thing to do. If you want to ruin things for people, you just pull the grid down. And the grid in the United States, as far as I know, it's a lot of independent parts. So to shut the entire grid down would be a difficult thing to do. And there's this new thing that you talked about. I heard about it shortly after I came out of the military, and it was called an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse weapon, right? Now, I was in the military for 20 years, and I dealt with a lot of different types of weapons. And if I didn't deal with them, I read about them or I was trained on them, and I never heard that acronym EMP the whole time I was in. Maybe other people did. Maybe I just missed it. Maybe I was not there that day. But I started hearing about it after I came out of the military. And supposedly, if somebody wants to detonate a nuclear weapon at, this guy's saying 400 miles, then that pulse could knock out electronic devices. Now, I can't support that. I don't know about that. I mean, this guy in a cowboy hat that's standing in front of a field, he seems to know about it, or he's just running his mouth. But then at the end of that whole story, all the supporting anecdotal evidence that he has that Russia's going to do this to us, or the Chinese, they could just park a sub off the coast and they could just fire a nuclear weapon over Omaha and it could knock out the whole United States. But then at the end, he sells generators, right? He scares you into thinking that there's going to be an EMP attack, and then he sells generators at the end. Now, he might be completely accurate. I don't know. I don't know anybody that knows, about that. People have heard people say stuff about it. I've heard things about it too. I never heard about it like I don't know that we have them to do that to the Russians. We'll do it to them. We don't generally let our bombs off in the sky. We let them off so we can devastate targets on the ground, as far as I know. But these guys talk about it as though it is reality. Maybe it is, but it gets you feeling kind of scared. And then they'll tie it in with, oh, and there's going to be an eclipse next month. And there's National Guardsmen that have been activated out in Oklahoma, and they tie it together like it's a. Now, we may find that there's something to it. We may. But I think that this ties into a condition that we're living through in the United States right now. And some people say it's third generational war, fourth generational war. It's an information war, right? And this is nothing new. That's why I call it, and this comes from me, the Tokyo Rose effect. So Tokyo Rose, I think she was American born, but then went back to Japan at the beginning of World War II. I think so. She spoke really good English. Maybe she wasn't, but I think she was a Japanese of Japanese descent. And a lot of the fighting that Americans were doing were in the islands, right? Before we got to Japan, because we wanted to bring air assets in, and we needed islands to fly off of to get at the mainland, right? So our American GIs, our Army and Marines and Navy, we didn't have Air Force back then. They were all in the islands, and they were tied up with the operations that were going on there. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have CNN. They didn't have, Fox News. There weren't TVs in the mess tent and all that. So those poor GIs were at a place where they didn't really know what was going on at home. And here Tokyo Rose was saying, oh, GIs, give it up. Our Royal Japanese Marines are on the mainland as we speak, and they are raping your wives and daughters. And she would go on and tell all the things that was happening. The GIs, American GIs, would tune in to Tokyo Rose because she played good music. Benny Goodman and, big band era, Glenn Miller, and they would listen to that. But then in between the tunes, she would spread false information. Now, that false information had an effect on those GIs. It did have an effect on, just like this can have an effect on us. Like, if that's true and an EMP is going to happen, does you fretting about it change anything? If maybe you need to get it off your chest, call your congressman. You'll never talk to him, but you'll talk to one of the lackeys' in his office. I'm concerned about this EMP thing. What are you guys doing on it? Hey, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. Right? Okay, and leave it right there. And then forget it. But I find that there is a lot of that going on. And these are homestead channels. This is a homestead channel. There's several others that it's called Homesteading Channel, but I never see the guy with a shovel in his hand or anything. He's just walking through the woods like with an AR-15 across his chest. Come on. That's not what we're doing. If you want to have like a dissident channel or a militia channel or something like that, go for it. But this is homesteading. We have decided that our way of making an impact that's going to positively affect our families and our communities is to get good at homesteading, grow food, learn how to fix stuff, make stuff, unleash your creativity and your holiness. Unleash it. Don't keep your holiness to yourself. Unleash your love. Unleash it. Turn it loose. But this has a tendency of keeping it in check. And I know because it affects me. That, when I heard that this morning, just irritated me. And that's why when I see that particular YouTube channel, I do not listen to it. There's a lot of them that I will not listen to. I will not, as a matter of principle. And everybody has their own choices that they can make. But I thought it was my duty to alert you to this, this fear thing all the time and what it does to you. You may not know that it's doing it to you. I find that certain things I listen to motivate me because I realize that this is my job. And although it can really suck at times, I think working in a factory would suck too, or working for somebody else, or running a contracting business, or putting fuel on airplanes or something like that. That is not what I want to do. That really is not what I want to do. I want to do this, and I like doing this. So even though, like the other night, what night was that? Monday night, I get a call that I ignored. You know how your phone will make a noise and it's like you're supposed to look at, see what it is. I'm doing something. I don't want to look at anything. And then I happen to notice my cows were going across the field next door. And I knew what happened exactly as soon as it happened. They were out of hay like midday and they were making a lot of noise. And I'll get to you in a minute. Just a minute. I was just about ready to do it, and I wanted to do something real quick before I did it. And there they go, right? There was a gate, and it was a single strand of barbed, and that normally will keep them in. It wasn't electrified at all. But when they're hungry and they see anything green on the other side, they're going to find a way through it unless it's real secure or electric. So there they go. And then I looked at my phone, and it was my neighbor, Emily, saying, what'd she say? It was cute. She said, she's a good egg. She says, are cows loose or is this a controlled pasturing? LOL. And so, I was here by myself. Yeah, it was Monday. I was here by myself. And trying to get the cows in by yourself on extremely wet ground you can't drive on it. You cause more problems than you can imagine, and they can move really fast. And so I haven't been using my motorcycle since what? I don't know. It's been a month since I fired that up. And so I pulled it out and I kicked it about 15 times and it's not going to start. It's too cold. It had been in the garage, so it was out of the sun. And I rolled it down the driveway, and it's I popped the clutch, and it's just turning the engine over, and then it fired. And so I just let it run with the choke on, and I was able to get it out the driveway, and it warmed up on my way there, and I was able to get behind them and get them moving back my direction, and I did finally get them in. It took me an hour to get them back in, and boy, was I tuckered when I got them in. And I thought, this sucks. And it was getting dark. So, like, if I hadn't gotten them in, now what? And so I had to get the headlight on, and I had to go down there, and that gate that was across there, I ran a strand of electric to it and fired it up. So, and I dropped them a bale. So if they got a bale, they don't want to go anyplace. So when that happens, it's like, oh, this sucks. But whose fault was it? Mine. It was absolutely my fault. I was doing something. They were hungry, and I should have, as soon as I see their feeders empty, I need to get a bale out there, especially when there's someplace where if they really want to go, they can. It was just a makeshift gate that I put in because when I put them in there, it was winter, and they don't go anyplace in the winter because there's no place to go. The same white snow is on the other side is on the inside that they're on, so they're not seeing anything that they want to go to. So anyway, that was my my thing Monday. By the time I came in the house, it was quarter past 9, and you know, it was time to get something to eat and go to bed. So, but be on the lookout, please, for the Tokyo Rose effect. Now, I don't think this guy is on the side of the invaders into the country, the ones that have, done all the terrible things that we see going on now. That those things are happening not because people are ignorant and stupid. They're doing it on purpose. It's to destabilize the society so they can form it the way they want it. And they're crazy. They want really weird things. And one of the things that they don't want is people who are resilient. They do not like resilience. And resilience is you can create your own food, you can fix your own stuff, you can build your own stuff. You don't need the machine. You can thumb your nose at the machine. You don't need it. So when they put some restriction on you, you can say, well, I didn't want it anyway. I was going to do something else anyway. See ya. I don't need it. And as I have gone down this road, I find that real, true freedom comes from needing a lot less, a whole lot less of everything. I don't need it. Like I don't need, there's all kinds of stuff I've told you that I don't need anymore. And I've just gone. This came up the other night. We're sitting at the table and something came up about underwear. My kids were here, right? Something came up about it. And I don't know. I said, well, I don't know. I haven't done underwear in a long time. And my oldest son is like, what? And I said, no, it's redundant. I don't need it. I was stationed in the tropics many moons ago, Philippine Islands. And when you get there, they give you different uniforms, tropical uniforms. And I said, can I have some new underwear? And they said, you don't wear underwear with these. Oh, I thought there was like an Air Force regulation or whatever. So you just don't, because they told you not to. And I had some with me, and I said, well, I'm going to violate the rules. And I was sorry that I did, because you wind up getting, if you're working outside and you get chafed. So you just don't wear them. And then I get back to Japan where I was stationed. My Fruit of the Looms. But then as I started into this, what I'm doing now, I realized, what do we have this for? Why do we have this? Because everybody does. Yeah, but I don't need it. So I do away with it. Wow, look at that space. I used to have all those underwears in there. Now they're gone. And you figure out how many people in my household, if I could convince them all to, right? And some of them don't. Some of them don't. I won't tell you which ones because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But it's just an example of, and they had great fun poking fun at me the other night. Well, you don't listen to Dad's live streams because he told the whole world he doesn't. Well, it's an example of something that I don't need. It's just extra. It's, what does it do for you? It's like something else to launder, right? So I've been out of that for a long time. I still have long johns because they do something for me, but just regular briefs, I mean, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Anyway, so everything that I can not have to rely on, like if you're wearing underwear every day and you've got to have a clean pair every day, which, I mean, that's what you do with underwear, right? Got to be a clean pair. I don't know why, but because I'm not incontinent or anything like that. But what about the day when I don't have any clean underwear? Well, I guess I'll have to turn this pair inside out and wear them, right? Well, what good does that do? That's a dumb thing. But you have crises because of now this extra thing that you've been trained to, gotta have this. I don't need it. Anyway, all right, 9:30, gone an hour and a half. Is there anything that I need to touch on tonight before we say sayonara? Dave says, my grandpa served in Europe in World War II. The Germans had the Bee of Berlin, or they also called her Axis Sally and Sally the Bee. Huh, I heard of Axis Sally. I've heard of that. Yeah. Huh. I don't know much about her, though. During Vietnam, they had Hanoi Hannah. So I think it was during Vietnam where they created AFRTS, or AFARTS, Air Force, Army, Air Force, Radio and Television Service, AFARTS. And, why would you watch, Hanoi Hannah? Why would you listen to her when you could listen to Good Morning Vietnam, So they did away with that. They did away with it. But those misinformations have a huge effect. And anymore, who knows? There was a big cleaning out of YouTube. There was a lot of people that were kicked off in like 18. And then there's all these ones, and I don't think they put their own people in there, but I think they allow people that are given a message that's unproductive and not encouraging. Like this guy, as I was talking with this woman today out in Oregon, because she said, oh yeah, he's really good to listen to, and farms are under attack everywhere, and he goes into it. He could spend a little bit of time talking about solutions to these, where there's never any solutions. I will maybe bring to your attention that, oh yeah, there's a boogeyman out there for sure, but here's what you want to do. Here's a way around that. It's sort of like if you're doing like a convoy clearance, which is something that people can relate to. You're kind of thrown into it a lot of times and you're not a commando, but you have to participate in that. Your CO is not going to say, oh man, you guys are going to get shot at. A lot of you are going to get killed, and really there's nothing we can do about it. So you might as well sit on the top of these deuce and a halves, because yeah, just do it. No, they're going to say, well, yeah, there could be some problems along the way, but here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to stay close. You're going to stay behind stuff, undercover, and we're going to try and determine where it's coming from. And then everybody's going to lay into that location. And if we need air cover, we're going to bring it in. They're reassuring you that the boogeyman out there is going to be dealt with. You're not just sitting ducks. And I think that's what we need to do in the farming community is, yeah, there's a boogeyman out there for sure. I've dealt with them several times, and I know who they are. They're not who you think they are. They're just social climbers within a punk organization. And I mean punk. It's a dumping ground for the low class ones and the classless ones. And they try to be heroes, right? And they pick on people who don't know anything about it, So we'll dissect some of that when I pull some of these letters out, and we'll show you some of the consistent verbiage that they use and pick it apart and show you what they're really up to. Because all they have is threats and lies, and then they work on your inner fear machine. You know, they propagate your fear machine. Okay. PG here. Good evening. I thought I was watching a recorded video. Nope. Heavenly Pet Sitting. That's what it's called now. All right. Cool. Haven't heard from the Resistance Babes in quite a while. David Duncan is saying Commando Race Bannon. Race Bannon. Yeah. That's from Johnny Quest. Race Bannon was the guy that kind of protected Dr. Quest. I'm calling you Commando because of your clothing choices. Yeah, that's what they call it, going with undies. Without undies, just going Commando. I don't know why. I don't know why they call it Commando. Okay, let's wrap it up. There is no consulting call tomorrow night. You won't be hearing from me on this until next Tuesday. I am putting out videos on Tribe Plus, and I also put them out on the regular, you know, the show and tell, hey, this is what we're doing. And that's an effort to kind of raise the flag. Hey, here we are, you guys. If you want to get into homesteading and you want to see the how-to on some of these things, this is the place to do it. And you all can help me out on that too. Like, you can hit the thumbs up. I don't even see where the thumbs up is on here, but you hit the thumbs up if you would. And commenting on here makes a huge difference, right? Okay. And if you would help me and spread the word about Seedling Day, Mitten Homesteading Conference, and Tribe Plus, I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Sayonara. And remember, anyone can farm.